All right, welcome in everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for the first time attendee webinar for the NAFCD NBMDA annual convention. That's coming up obviously here in a few weeks. So we wanted to gear everybody up who is a first time attendee at this event for what to expect, some do's and don'ts, how to navigate the show site tends to be a bit confusing for folks as we move through the session and all that. Our presenters today will be Michael Wilbur, Executive Director of both associations, along with presidents of both associations, Brian Green with NAFCD and John Minert with NBMDA. They'll cover all the content for you guys. We'll have some time at the end to answer some questions, so feel free to please put questions in the chat as we're moving through the session, and we'll kind of answer those as we get to the end here. But with that, I'm going to toss it over to Michael to start providing the presentation.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jackson, and thank you all for joining. Wanted to make sure that we took an opportunity for folks who are new to the convention to get a sense for what to expect while you're on site and hear directly from some of our longtime attendees firsthand. We got a deck here that we're going to, excuse me, run through. Apologies, I'm getting over a cold, so if I am coughing, it's not allergic to public speaking here. But we're going to run through. I'm joined here by Brian Green from UCX, who is the president of NAFCD's board of directors, and John Minert from Aetna Building Solutions, who is our president of the NBMDA board of directors. So, gentlemen, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
And we'll run through the first handful of slides here, Jackson, and take a look at our lovely boards of directors that are involved in putting this event on. So you can see our NAFCD folks, then we'll flip through to NBMDA, our officers, and our at-large directors. All of you will get a copy of this presentation afterwards. We'll also put the recording on the website, so if you want to look back. But these are the folks to look out for on site, and they can help you show the ropes. We will also on Tuesday of the event, so exactly 3 weeks from today in the afternoon, have a first-time attendee session live on site where you get to meet a few more people face to face before we head into the opening receptions. So just a very quick shot of education before we get into the shots of happy hour. Moving along, it's just beer and wine. I'm kidding. We want to thank our executive sponsors of the event. You can see listed out here, as well as our premier sponsors, which includes our 4 thought leadership sponsors. Want to give it an extra shout out to JAST, to Seablink, to Orbit, and Premier Path for helping craft some of our breakout education this year. And I'll get into that a little bit further along. But again, without all of these companies' support, this event can't happen. So make sure you visit their booths on site and thank them for their support at the event. Keep on rolling. So location highlights. We're just chatting before we launched here. We'll be in Chicago. Brian and I are from the DC area. Jackson and John are from the Chicago area, and had a rough Monday Night Football last night, but we will still go and enjoy our time in Chicago. If you're coming into O'Hare or Midway, please be advised that there is a lot of construction going on the main arteries into the city. An Uber or a taxi can take anywhere from 45 to 90 minutes, depending on when you're getting in. The orange and blue lines are good options. And the orange line the blue line I always take in from O'Hare is $5 to get you straight downtown. But make the choice that's most acceptable for your needs. And then the address here for our event, we're at the Hyatt Regency Chicago, which fun fact, in the foreground of that photo, you'll see the boats down on the Chicago River. If you've got time one evening, or if you get in town early or stay a little bit late, the architectural boat tours are a lot of fun. I did one this summer, and this is the largest Hyatt Regency in the world of all the Hyatt Regencies. So who knew? We'll keep rolling here. Dress for success. The event itself, business casual. We'll have folks in khakis and polos all the way up to suit and tie. Dress for what you're comfortable for, but again, everybody's here to do business. This is more of an executive level event, so dress to impress and comfort. Try and toe the line there. We always emphasize comfortable walking shoes. The hotel, once you get down into the exhibit hall, is just carpet over top of concrete. You're going to be on your feet a lot during the day when you're down having your meetings, so just keep that in mind. And most importantly, and I say this is for Chicago, it's really also for any conference that you go to, dress in layers. I guarantee within the first hour of the event this year, somebody's going to come up to me and say, "This room is way too cold." And 5 minutes later, somebody's going to come up and say, "This room is way too hot." And they're going to be in the same room wearing the same thing. So if you've got layers, you can take a jacket off, you can put a jacket or a sweater on. But the extended forecast, which at this 3 weeks out is very extended right now, Jackson pulled for us, is showing high 50s, low of 50s, 40s in the evenings. Don't forget the lake effect. We're about 6 blocks off the lake at the Hyatt Regency, and that is a real effect. So the chill will probably be about 10 degrees cooler, at least, than what the posted temperature is. Or you can just stay inside. The whole event takes place in the hotel, and we've got lots of fun evening activities for you.
Yeah, Michael, what I would say there is just, I think you hit the nail on the head. Just make sure you're comfortable, and then what you're comfortable not only wearing to a business meeting like this, but then also, it's a long day. Very, very important on the footwear, and making sure you're going to walk a ton. It's probably 15 to 20,000 steps easily on these conventions, and then just making sure you're comfortable to be able to move throughout the event. You hit the nail on the head. These rooms will be very different temperatures, but just be comfortable so you can be relaxed and be able to soak it all in.
My additional thing is we never know what the weather's going to do this time of year in Chicago. And the past 2 conferences that we've had in Chicago, the weather's been fabulous. But obviously we can't order up the weather. So just please look at it a little bit in advance. It would be my advice. And we're in a great location being at the Hyatt. So if you want to do some other things when you're in town.
All right, we're going to jump into some do's and don'ts. So I'm going to ask we missed an apostrophe there. We're going to jump in here and ask Brian and John to chime in with any that come to their mind, but I'll kick us off with some basics. Probably the most important do has to do with the attendee list. So one of the things that makes the NAFCD NBMDA annual convention unique is we share the attendee list with all other attendees leading up to the event. The goal here is to make appointments before you get on site. Ideally, you would have all of your exhibit hall time scheduled with the exact folks you want to meet with. So if you're exhibiting and you're hoping that you're just going to get the right people meandering past your booth, that's not going to happen necessarily. That's going to happen when you are proactive, do your research, reach out to folks and ask them to come have a sit down with you and learn more about your offerings. So that's the biggest do, is reach out and set up those appointments. That is also tied to the biggest don't, which is do not spam the whole attendee list. Everybody can read through the canned outreach and they sent this to 400 people. Make it a one-on-one, personalize it, show that you've done some research for that distributor and why you want to work with them, and send them a nice message, and you'll get a reply. But I'll let the gentleman here expand on that. That's the one I wanted to kick off with right out of the gate.
So my comment, just expanding on that one a little bit, Michael, is some of our suppliers, very few of them go to line up with both conferences, with both associations. So when you throw out the spam, as Michael called it, a lot of times you get frustrated because there's no response. Well, half your audience probably doesn't line up with the product that you're soliciting. So just be pointed with your association that you're affiliated with.
Yeah, and I would definitely say for the suppliers, John makes a great point in making sure if you're looking for distribution meetings, set those up now, but send a personal invitation to them and really lay it out and make sure that, it's not, a big spam and it's, hey, we'd love to meet with you. Set a time, especially when you're talking about, the actual trade show, because that's a lot of feedback that we get is, hey, we were expecting to sit here behind this table and have everybody come up to us that we wanted to talk to, but obviously you need to be very proactive there. And then I think the one other big thing is, if you're new to this, the people that we laid out from both boards are great people to reach out to at the event and also beforehand. Hey, I'd love to sit and grab a cup of coffee with you, grab a drink later, at least be able to talk through kind of, hey, this is what I'm seeing at the event. They do a really good job there. And then, also just be engaged and be present. Obviously, wear your name, wear your name badge, and lay out what your plan is beforehand, and then use the app because if there's anything that changes or any real-time updates, it's really, really great tool to make sure you're getting everything you need. And if there's something that changes, you find that out in real time. So.
Yeah, great point. And we will get into the app a little bit later on in the presentation and sort of how to make the best use of that. But downloading the app before you get on site will definitely help you make the most of your experience. The other thing that I would say is as you see staff from either NAFCD or NBMDA on site, please come up, introduce yourself, ask us any questions. We're happy to help you get pointed in the right direction. There will be signage throughout the hotel, obviously to help you navigate, but don't be shy. And I've left it on the back of the chair here, so it looks like I'm pulling it out of thin air here, but we've got these lovely vests on with our logos that you'll be able to see. So we self-identify for the masses. And then on social media, again, we're active only on LinkedIn with both association, but tag us, post pictures, talk about what you're learning, who you're meeting, help get that buzz out to your network that you're on site. It's fun to see folks that didn't necessarily bump into each other, but are on LinkedIn during a break and see, oh, I didn't know John was here. I'm gonna go message him and see if we can grab a drink at the reception this evening. And at the receptions, try to break out of your cliques. If you've got a team member that's a little more introverted, find them a wingman and get them out networking. But this is the best opportunity of the year to expand your network, to deepen your connections with folks you don't see all of the time. So as easy as it is to stay with the folks that you arrived with, you'll get more out of it. You'll bring more back to your company if you spread out and divide and conquer a little bit.
I just say one final note for those that haven't done a lot of these conventions and don't travel a lot. And I know everybody's an adult, but make sure you take care of yourself, hydrate. And also I always say the first night of camp is exciting and fun, and you want to have a big time in the reception, but you got to wake up, you got to be there, be alert, and answer the bell, and do that for multiple days. So just take care of yourself, keep it under control, and make sure you're there. Your company's making an investment to send you here. So just make sure you absorb it all, and there's nothing worse than trying to do that with a really bad headache.
Amen. John, any final views or don'ts?
My other comments, go ahead. I'm sorry, Michael. So my other comments are going to be around networking, folks. That's one of the pillars of our associations are the networking opportunities. And for you, for the first timers, we have a special reception on Tuesday from 5 to 6:30. But there's another one that for the entire conference that's on Wednesday from 4:15 to 6. And that is such a casual setting. It's in the exhibit hall. You can connect with everybody and anybody there. You might see some of the same people. You may have seen them earlier in the day, but still make yourself present there. It's really just a good flow of people that you're obviously here to connect with. So those are two very important ones.
Great. All right. Well, let's take a look at what we're working with on site here this year. So on the left, is an image of the hotel floor plan. On the right is what that looks like when we get all of our booths layered into it, but it's the same space. So you're going to come down some escalators and make a left turn to enter into the exhibit hall. And when you do, again, look over at that right map. This is what the layout's going to look like. Food and beverage is down in that back corner. So we'll be having all of our lunch functions in the exhibit hall this year. Excuse me. Places to sit will be throughout the convention or throughout the hall, but that'll be kind of the home base. Definitely spend your time when the exhibit hall is open. Get down there, have your appointments on your way in, on your way out. Poke around, find the folks that you want to connect with and learn more about. But this will be kind of the basement level of the hotel. We'll go to the next one. On the first day, so John alluded to that, those opening networking receptions on Tuesday the 4th. The Hyatt has a main entrance. You're going to go up the escalators to check in. And if you go around to the right of the check-in desk, there's a sky bridge over to the other side of the Hyatt where most of the meeting space is going to be. So that's this giant red arrow from main Hyatt upper lobby. You're going to come across that and you'd walk straight into the NBMDA reception, or if you hang a right at the end of that sky bridge, you'll go straight over to the NAFCD reception. If you need to commingle with some friends from the other association, not frowned upon. And if you are really feeling antsy, the fitness center is right there too, so you can go get a quick jog in between drinks. We'll keep moving along. Floor plan. So the Crystal Ballroom is on the main level of the meeting side of the hotel. This is the schedule of events that'll be over there. But the UID in a day, if you don't have anyone signed up for that, that's the University of Innovative Distribution, takes place every spring in Indianapolis. We do a concentrated version of that at convention every year. So if you have some folks that are newer or upcoming leaders within your distribution agency company and want to get them a little bit more of a deep dive education, you can add that to their registration. There's still spots open for that on Tuesday afternoon, or I should say it's all day Tuesday, really. And then we'll have those opening sessions that evening, and then throughout Wednesday and Thursday. Again, you'll get these slides and all of this will be in the app. Let's go to the next one. And then down 2 floors from that is our Regency Ballroom, which is the main main stage sessions for our keynotes. That's also where registration is going to be. So when you get there, we'll have signs pointing you over there, but head on over, get a lay of the land, grab your badge, and then you can look around a little bit. But here's the schedule for that level of the convention center. It is a little bit confusing the first time you walk through all of these things, but we will have lots of signage and staff positioned to point you in the right direction. So as I said earlier, look for those black vests with the NAFCD, NBMDA logos, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction. All right, John, you already jumped into the networking opportunities, but we had a whole slide for it too. So we'll look at this. Again, here's the schedule. So Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning and afternoon, and then Thursday for breakfast and during the exhibit hall hours. Lots of opportunities to meet and mingle with folks. All of the meal functions are open to all attendees. Encourage you to come, get some food, meet with folks. That's a good time to kind of plan your day with your team or to schedule a meeting with some of the contacts you don't have time to get to in the exhibit hall if your schedule's already filled up. But again, I'll pause for John or Brian if you want to emphasize anything here. I know, John, you already did an impassioned plea for getting yourself out there.
I think for us, what we try to do is, there's a lot to try to, interact with. So we usually send a large contingency of individuals and we try to divide and conquer. So even if you're going out there by yourself or another individual, try to say, all right, hey, this is what I'm going to try to accomplish, and whether it's peer networking and establishing relationships with those that are, I would say, friendly competitors to you, and understanding, some people that you can work on, getting information, benchmarking, and then also, suppliers, that may be prospective and understand, hey, this is somebody we'd love to talk to. And if you're a supplier, the same thing. Hey, we'd like to just get to know somebody from a distribution standpoint. It's a great time to do it. So it's a little easier than hey, we'd love to set up a full-blown meeting. It's better sometimes to say, hey, I'd love to just get an opportunity to interact with you. Again, do your homework ahead, but then it's a great time just even at the social events just to find out and look for the people and make sure you're not just standing next to all the people you know. You really don't usually learn anything new when you do that.
Anything else from you, John?
I'm good. I already thumped this one.
Perfect. So I'm going to throw it back to you all as well in a second, but always take time to refine your elevator pitch. Here are just some best practices of things to be thinking about, but I wanted to ask John and Brian as distributors, when you've got a supplier and you've got a manufacturer approaching you that wants to work with you, how do they put their best foot forward? How do they present themselves in a way that's going to make you intrigued and wanting to learn more?
Here, what I try to do with our team too is identify those individuals that, if we're talking to suppliers, are you really the person to be doing that? And then if you're not, if you're just there to gather information, kind of be transparent about that. And then, obviously we've got a kind of hey, here's who we are, what areas we distribute, what areas we cover, what kind of business segments that we handle. And then I would assume from a manufacturing side, you really want to understand, hey, this is the products we manufacture, this is how we go to market, and have that pretty crisp. But I think too, just being very clear to whoever you're speaking with about the role that you do, and if it's something that's not in your purview, to make sure that you have the ability to connect that person to who does that inside of your organization.
I think one thing to add from a distributor, because this is a distributor conference, is what's your go-to-market strategy? And that's always something that's very important. And the products that you cover, areas you cover, of course, but how do you go to market? So that's my piece.
Great. And I think it's important to also just foot stomp as many times as we can throughout this, that this is truly a relationship-driven event. Folks are here to strengthen the existing trading partner relationships they have, to fill gaps with new trading partners, and that's really emphasized by the way that we share the attendee list, encourage you to set up meetings. So during those interactions, being your true, transparent self, folks pick up on that, and they want to do business with honest brokers. So just be straightforward. As a newcomer to this community last year, that was shared with me right out of the gate. Might have been you, John. And I have noticed that in all of my interactions. It's really a great community, and folks are looking to do good by their employees, to do good by their business, to do good for their customers. So if you bring that energy to your interactions, you'll have a really great show connecting with folks. And so in addition to all of the great vendors that we'll have in the exhibit hall and networking opportunities, there's also a fair amount of education that we're going to send your way. So we're going to run through that real quick. This is the whole schedule. I'm not going to read through this. Again, it's on the website. It'll be in the app. But one that I do want to call out here, because I don't think there's a dedicated slide to it in this presentation, is on Thursday morning, our Rise and Thrive breakfast is our women's group of NAFCD and NBMDA, has been growing over the past 3 years to be a really excellent group and contingent of this community that didn't exist in 2003. They had their first meeting Last year we had it as a lunch, moving back to breakfast, but a great program, very conversational, and that committee is having their final meeting on Wednesday to button up the program, but very excited about that. So particularly for our women, everyone is invited to be sure. I sat in on it last year, and it was a great conversation to observe and learn how I can be a better supporter for the women on my team and within this channel. But I would encourage folks to check that out. They put a lot of great work into that session. Our keynotes this year are the gentleman you'll see up here, and kicking off is Cujo here, Robert Teschner, former Top Gun pilot, but the angle that he talks about is debrief to win, and how after a mission, the most important part is always the debrief. Is what did we learn? What do we need to tighten up? What can we do better on in the future? And taking the time to do that post-mission debrief translates to the business world. So he's going to talk about that. And in a year that we've had this year, with a lot of market uncertainty, a lot of changing trade policies, a lot of challenges within the supply chain, it's a great message that we wanted to bring to the channel of, all right, this has been a pretty disruptive year for the business. What did we learn as we went through it? How are we positioning ourselves for 2026 and beyond? And how can we make sure that that's always a part of our corporate culture of looking at conditions, how we responded to them, how that went, and not just continuing to run on to the next thing. And he brings in some humor, he brings in some great stories, but that will be an excellent session to kick us off. The afternoon of Wednesday, Steve McClatchy has spoken at this event a couple times over the last probably 10, 15 years. Just had a new book released this year that hit the New York Times bestsellers list, and he's going to focus on leading relationships. It's a great talk. I had the opportunity to see it about 18 months ago when it was in its kind of 1.0 phase, and he's been refining it since. But it was very eye-opening in how to have better business relationships with your customers and partners, with your teammates and employees, as well as into your personal life, your volunteer life. It's just great kind of bettering yourself context to bring to all of your personal and professional interactions. For a relationship event like ours, I think this is a great and powerful message for folks to bring back. And again, after, like I said, I saw the 1.0 version of this, I was immediately able to bring that back to the teams that I work with positive effect. So I hope others are able to do the same. We'll also have about 300 copies of his book available. Those are going to be first come, first serve. So if you like the talk on your way out, grab one of those copies, and he'll be with us that afternoon at the reception to sign copies if you're interested. And if you don't, it's on Amazon. And then finally, on Thursday, Brian Bolio with ITR Economics. ITR is a very reputable economic research firm that has been working with us for probably 20 years at this point. It's always the highlight of the event. They give a great, no-nonsense, and for economists, very engaging and humorous look at the world that we're living through and the world that's coming around the corner. So this is always a highlight. They're going to be closing us out this year on Thursday afternoon, so definitely don't miss that. And we'll be sharing the slides out after that presentation. And the only cost of those slides is completing the post-event survey. So after 5 minutes, you'll get all the economic insights you want. And gentlemen, I know each of you have seen a combination of these guys over the years. Anything that you would add?
Yeah, if I could, I'll first touch on Cujo. I'm a big fan of Cujo. Gives you a straightforward communication, doesn't talk above, gives you real life applications of his time in the military. And his debrief, probably heard it first time about 5 years ago in my Vistage group. Was a big fan. I've heard him speak one other time, again in my Vistage group as well. And we adopted his debrief plan at Aetna. Steve, just a quick comment on him. I'm not quite as familiar with him as I would be the other two, but when we talk about how relationships are changing in our world, and it's become less personal, Steve touches on how to make those more effective and how to communicate better in those relationship settings. And then lastly, Brian, this is his, from my understanding, I think it's at least 2 decades he's been coming. My upfront notice is get there early, because when either Brian or his brother Alan speak, it's usually, if you're of my age, if I said the E.F. Hutton of the meeting, they are the E.F. Hutton. There's usually, I wouldn't say it's not a seat available, but it'll be probably the most crowded. And since this is their swan song, where they will not be speaking after this year anymore, at least for the Bulio brothers, this will be a great opportunity for them to wrap it up. So, Brian.
No, well said. I think just to take a step back, I was really, really surprised and pleased to see how much time and energy and thought goes into figuring out what is the content going to be. So when you think about the slide before of all the different, opportunities you have for a learning experience with different speakers and the content, this team does a great job picking that out. And then when you look at the keynotes, for me, I wasn't as familiar as John or the team with Cujo, but listening to his, the trailer and the teaser and hearing all the feedback, really excited to hear that. I'm much more familiar with Steve. I sat through Steve's classes at the University of Industrial Distribution, at Purdue University, and he did a fantastic job. And actually, I've stayed engaged with him. He's actually come and done some different things for us for training platforms at UCX. And then Brian, we've used ITR for research. We've also had them come to our conventions and speak, but just a class act. And I think Michael said it, they do it in a way that keeps you engaged with humor, but it's real data. And at the end of the day, too, you can get that information and you can go back and share it with your company. So some really, really class act speakers here.
Great, and then we'll jump ahead one more. So we have concurrent sessions. There's 2 time blocks, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, where we're going to have 2 sessions going on simultaneously. So it's kind of choose your own adventure here, but I'll give you some guidance that on Wednesday we're going to split a little bit more along the NBMDA NAFCD lines. So and why is our industry still typing data is looking at project information management systems and the opportunities to streamline operations. You're going to be citing case studies from the HVAC, electrical, kind of plumbing channels for distribution, and how those industries have gained a lot of efficiencies by adopting this approach. And this will be kind of the kickoff for a project with one of our partners that's looking to put one together with the community. And at the same time, on the NAFCD side, creating a smarter data-driven future for sampling. Samples have been kind of this big necessary evil blind spot, pain in the butt for everybody for a very, very long time. Tracking them, losing them, knowing where they are, if they're contributing to the sales. Technology and opportunity are finally at an inflection point where we can redefine the approach for that. And again, so a partner is going to be talking about sort of the realities and the market case for finding a solution for this, and then putting forth a proposal to the community of here's a way that we can work together and fix that problem. On Thursday, Operate Like a Ninja is I'll not to talk down to any of our other sessions, but it's a great hook. I really like it. I think they found a fun way to phrase that. They're going to be going over kind of best practices in B2B sales and marketing, kind of what's working, what's not working, and some tactics that you can use with your teams to outsmart, outsell your competition, It's going to be very interactive, very informative. Again, looking at real world trends, how that's channel for B2B has been evolving over the last 5-10 years, and what they're seeing on the frontier. So if you're in the sales and marketing function within your company, highly encourage you to go to that. If you're in more of an executive or owner role, we have our succession planning session from founder to officially I had a prep call with them yesterday, and one of the things they said that stuck with me was, everyone at some point in their life is going to have to transition their business. It could be in the next 5 years, it could be in the next 50 years, but it's gonna happen. And you control whether that's smooth, and whether at the end of the day you're going to have that lasting legacy that you were looking for. And then they'll dive into sort of the options of, a sale or a merger, keeping it in the family, keeping it with the employees, selling out or farming out to private equity, sort of all the different avenues you can take, the things to be looking at. But that'll be a great kind of, here are the options, and walk it through of how to start thinking about planning of that, because spoiler, it's never too early. And I'll take a deep breath there and see if there are any other comments from Brian or John on our concurrence this year.
I don't necessarily. I don't know that I've heard all of them, but I'm looking forward to participating as usual.
Great.
Yeah, my only comment would be just make sure you read through create your own path, and then again, if there's multiple folks there, if you can have a peer or a coworker go through another cohort, and then you can come back. It's always good to share. And then, I'll continue to say this: your company's making an investment for you all to go to this. The more information you can retrieve and then disseminate back to the organization, thank them for it, and then say, here's all the things that I got, and get it in the right people's hands. It's a really, really good view of yourself of going to an event like this and taking it seriously.
And I'd also say, these sessions, the exhibit hall is closed while these sessions are taking place, so that everybody can participate. So if you've got a booth, don't feel that you're going to be, missing out on somebody walking by. As we always keep everybody doing the same stuff. It's also a great opportunity for your meetings later to have that icebreaker of, oh, hey, which session were you in? What'd you think of so and so? And be able to talk through if you need some fodder for your networking time and don't want to talk about the lovely Chicago weather. All right, let's keep rolling here. We're almost at the end of the presentation. We'll open up for any questions. Again, we're on LinkedIn. Here are our handles. So make sure that you follow us in advance of the convention if you're not already, as we send out a lot of information ahead of the convention, but also throughout the year as how to get more involved with each association. And as Brian alluded to earlier, the most important thing that you will bring on site, besides yourself and your business cards, is the mobile app. So it is being finalized right now. It should be available by the end of the week to download, and we'll send out instructions on that. But this will have the schedule, the exhibit hall, maps of the facilities, Wi-Fi password, all that good stuff, as well as a directory of attendees. So this is really your go-to for the program and for every element of the event. We don't have a print program. Everything is digital. So definitely download this from the Google Play or the App Store on Apple. The other piece that I would say, and I know I get 8 billion notifications already from the various apps on my phone, and I try and silence those. I would encourage you to allow notifications during the event and then turn them off after, because we will send push notifications of, if a room is changing, or if a time is changing, or if there's a special kind of pop-up event taking place. That'll all get pushed out through the app. So leave your notifications on while you're on site, and then turn it off and don't get pinged. Not that we'd be sending anything afterwards, but I know one more notification, your hip vibrates, or you hear that ping and you got to jump to it. We don't want that to be us. Gentlemen, anything on the app or your past experience?
So correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to be our first time with our own app.
Yes. So
And
in
the functionality of it, past ones were a little clunky. This one, since
this
it's
one's
our
going to be a
own, we
lot more
invested in our own.
straightforward.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we used to be uh, within a broader event app. So you'd have to download the generic event app and then scroll through and select ours once you opened it up. Our app is directly in the App Store. As soon as you download it, that's all that it is. And when you open it up, it's all our stuff. So it should be very user friendly. Again, we'll be emailing out instructions on how to get it, how to set it up. But I downloaded the test version this morning and was able to get set up in about 2 minutes without reading the instructions. So it is very intuitive. And as I said, we're still putting some final touches on it. But it's in a good place, and excited that we're in the home stretch here. And with that, I think we'll say thank you to everyone for attending, and we're going to pause here and take some questions. But if it doesn't get answered, or if you have to jump, email either info@nafcd.org or info@nbmda.org. If you want to go to our websites, get rid of the info at, and you've got them right there. You can also find all of the convention information at distributorconvention.org. But if you're on this webinar, you're already registered, so you've been there. With that, I'll
if I could, Michael, just couple of other points is this isn't the size of an IWF or a KBIS or something on that order. This is a more intimate convention, easy to connect with people, easy to get if you plan, easy to get appointments. But it's really a great networking opportunity. So my two words would be prepare and prioritize. So, and just with that, I want to thank you for being part of our convention.
No, absolutely. And I think too is, the planning, I think we can't say it enough of figuring out, hey, because we got a lot of great information here. So, figure out from your arrival to where you're staying, where you're going to have a little bit of downtime, where you can meet folks for coffee, but have fun, and try to absorb it all. It's a tremendous amount of information, but there's also a lot of information that you receive. So make sure you get all that. And I would just say be engaged, right? It's easy to go to these things and, you got your emails and your life happening that, you can crawl into a corner and just do what you would do if you're in the office. But, put all that to the side, put an auto office on there. Again, your company's making an investment, so be engaged, go to all the different breakout sessions and speakers and make sure you get the opportunity to figure out who you want to network with and do it. And you'll have a great time. But, John hit the nail on the head there too, is it's not a huge convention where you can get lost. You can really, really have a great time. So look forward to seeing everybody and really appreciate, you attending the convention.
And so I've got one tactical question here, but if you're listening in and you have any questions, if you look at the bottom of your kind of Zoom toolbar, there's a Q&A button. You can type it in there, and we'll be able to address those. We'll hang around for a few more minutes to address any that come in. One question was, how do we know which booths in the exhibit hall are for which association? So they are color coded. They won't be, and then on site it will say either NBMDA or NAFCD kind of on the back drape above their booth. Some folks have kind of big pop-up displays that end up covering that up though. So in the app and on the website, the darker blue booths are NAFCD, the lighter kind of teal are NBMDA, and then your giant red booth at the entrance is for both associations, where staff will be available to answer questions and point you in the right direction. You'll also have the opportunity within our booth to meet some of our strategic partners. So as a member of the association, you've got access to things like HR services, marketing support, discount programs, fleet management assessments as part of your membership. So if you're interested in learning more about those, we'll get into those a little bit during the member meetings on Wednesday morning. but come by and you can meet directly with those partners and see what they can do for your business. Another question, do we need to register for classes ahead of the time? So if you're signed up for the event, you can come and go to any of the sessions. You don't need to RSVP for them. There's two caveats to that. If you're looking to go to the Rise and Thrive women's session, RSVP is not required, but it is requested. So if you go to the website, you can RSVP that you're interested in attending. And that's just so we can make sure we have enough food sent up to that session, because there's a secondary breakfast down for general attendees that aren't going to that session. And the other one is UID in a day. If you're looking to attend that, there is a separate registration for that because it's a day-long workshop, but you can sign up for that on the website. You can add it to your registration as well. And then another one, where do we get our badge at registration, or are they being mailed? So you will need to go pick them up at the registration desk. So that's down in front of the Regency Ballroom. Again, when you check in at the Hyatt, or when you arrive at the Hyatt, if you're staying elsewhere, there'll be signs directing you to NAFCD and NBMDA annual convention registration. It's a mouthful to say, but it looks fine on the sign. And it'll take you down there. You just present your ID, they'll get you your badge, and you'll be on your way. All right. Well, that's all the questions that have come in so far. But like I said, I'm happy to stick around for another minute or two if others have questions. And if not, we'll thank everybody for their time today, and never got in trouble for ending early. All right. Well, like I said, if you have any additional questions, please, as the slide says, email us. I want to thank John and Brian for their time joining us today and sharing some of their experience and tips and tricks for all of you as our new attendees to this event. We're very excited to welcome you to the Windy City in about 3 weeks, and safe travels. We'll see you in Chicago.